Hello, everyone. Welcome to Handstand Jam. Thanks for joining me here on my YouTube channel for the practice. Usually, I have my Handstand Jam classes on Thursdays, but as I've mentioned before, I'm currently taking Carrie Worko's teacher development program, Play It Forward, loving it every week, twice a week. She's got wonderful guest teachers and folks who give either a lecture or a specialty class or workshop that I get to attend. So lots of good information to take in. And the timing on Thursdays is in conflict with usually when I have the handstand class. So I'm recording it right now here earlier in the week on Monday, Pi Day, March 14th. So let's get into our practice. As always, do your best according to your abilities today. Yeah. So just whatever your 100% feels like today, feel free to take a pause and just watch and learn. All good. Modify anything where you need to attend to your needs and abilities. All good. And have fun with it. Yeah. And set an intention maybe for why you're doing your handstands. Something, anything. For me, it could be something as simple as it's playful. It's fun. Yeah. I enjoy it. But I know on a on a physical level, it can you can improve your balance. It is handstand balancing. We'll use the wall for the practice, but even that is an act of balancing, getting off the ground, up and away. You're more than welcome to do it in the middle of the room. I encourage you to do it if you are practicing that or getting into it. It makes your upper body stronger. Um, it's a lot of arms, shoulders, hands. Certainly a lot of things to attend to, body parts in the upper body, even though also it builds core strength, core strength, that reflexive core engagement to lift off, hold balance, and also even off the ground. Some of the work that we'll do today, you'll see how reflexive core will ignite or engage in just holding some positions, some isometric holds. I'll talk more about that in a little bit. Yeah. And on an emotional level, it can boost your mood. I certainly feel it. Every time I do a handstand, I feel a little different after doing it and coming back down than I did before going back up. Yeah. So something to think about on an emotional level too. And lastly, but not least, it does help. You can think of it helping bone health because it is weight bearing, loading force on hands, forearms, elbows, shoulders, arms, shoulder blades. So you can think of it as something that does help increase bone health and circulation and breathing. You got to keep breathing to keep moving. Yeah. Yeah, overly stimulating, overly in a good way, not overstimulating, but to stimulate the entire body. For me, handstand practice is a full body, whole body practice, not just hands, not just arms, but through the feet, through the legs, hips, spine, the whole works. All right, let's get into it. Yeah. So props for today, um, have space to practice. Yeah. And having a wall space will be great. So if you have wall or door space where you can use for balance later on, wonderful. Have a blanket and two blocks. Okay. If you don't have the two blocks, all good. You can do without, but you'll see lifting the hands off the ground onto the blocks, how that'll affect our practice. And we'll play with today variability of hand positions. All right. So different ways to position the hands on the ground. First in just hands and knees position, then in plank position, even in dog pose position, downward dog position, and then eventually into handstand position at the wall. All right. So let's get into the hands. Stand upright, feet as wide or as narrow as you like, just to stand comfortably. You can have the feet turned out, point the toes forward, in, or switch it up. Just walk around. Yeah, but interlock your fingers and circle the hands wrist around. And see if you can slow it down just a little bit. And then switch direction of the hand rolls, wrist rolls here. So just to connect with the hand that you will be handstanding on, the wrists, the forearms, the elbows, and switch the interlock of the fingers, so just the non-dominant clasp. And again, I'm moving around. Feel free to walk, move around, or stand still. And then shake it out. Let it go. Shake out the hands. Make your fingers like this. Hang loose. Shaka symbol. Like this. Shake out through the wrists, forearms, hands. Okay. All right. Now, okay, take your arms beside you. So now stand the legs a little bit wider than hips width. Okay. Point the toes forward. Press the heels down firm up through the legs. So bring some stability through the lower body. Arms are out to the side and rotate the arms, hands, externally. Okay, so we're learning this is external rotation of arm. Then go for internal rotation of arm, forearm, and hand. Externally rotate, internally rotate. Now curl your fingers, make a fist. Squeeze some tension, force through the arms, and then externally rotate arm out. So you notice how the biceps, the upper inner arms roll out. And then internally rotate, the biceps roll in, and triceps are out, the outer arm. One more time, external rotation, internal rotation. Okay. Now, more for the hands and wrists. Do this with your hands, hand extension. Do this with your hand flexion. Okay. So when the palm faces the underside of the forearm, flexion. Palm faces away or back of the hand towards the upper side of the forearm, extension. Take the arms out to the side. Push with the heels of your hands away from you. Reach with your fingertips back towards your head. Then drop the hands. We're going into flexion of the hands, the wrists, extension, flexion, extension, flexion, extension. You're going to fly. Take the arms up. Okay. Arms are up. This is our upside down handstand. Think of this upside down. You would be doing the handstand. You would be on the hands, but right now we're on the feet. Right? So push the hands up, point the fingers back, and pull your fingertips, your fingernails down. And then flex. Palms down, but reach with the back of the hand, the wrists up. Extend, flex, extend, flex, and lower down. You might have felt a little warmth, some stimulation in the forearms. Okay. Let's take a break from the wrist. Let's get into the elbows. We will be waiting, bearing weight on our hands through the forearm, elbows, shoulders. What's between the shoulders and the wrists? The elbows. So take the arms, palms out like this. Keep your palms flat. Try not to cup in the hands and try not to bend your wrists right now. Press the palms up towards your shoulders. By press, I mean imagine you have some thick air you're pushing through, and rotate your forearms and push that thick air down towards the ground. Rotate forearm out, palms up, and bring the palms in towards the shoulders. Slow motion, rotation, push down. Okay, now take the arms a little bit wider and bring the backs of the hands up towards you. Try not to cup in the hands. Rotate the arms out. Bring the arms down. Forearms in. And then bring the backs of the hands up towards you. Hold it. Squeeze there. Rotate out, lower down. You might have felt that in your forearms or your deltoids, your upper arms, but that was rotation for the elbow joint. Yeah? Hinge joint, but has a rotational capacity too. Okay, just like the knee is a hinge joint, flexion, extension. So this is flexion, extension, but it does have rotational capacity at the kneecap. All right, back to the wrists. Okay. Break your arms like this, like we did just a moment ago. Curl your fingers, squeeze. Squeeze your knuckles towards your elbow creases. Squeeze hard without feeling pain. Okay. Always avoiding moving out and away from pain. Rotate the forearms in. Keep the knuckles pointing back towards your elbows. And then open up the hands like you're doing plank pose or forearm bent push-up position. Curl the fingers, drop the knuckles down, squeeze in, rotate the forearms out, open up the hands, fingers pointing down, fingertips reaching back. And push the arms forward. Curl your fingers, squeeze those knuckles in towards your shoulders. Squeeze hard, rotate arms down, open up the hands, fingers pointing up, fingertips reaching back. And curl the fingers, drop down, rotate out, open up the hands, take the arms out to the side. So the heels of the hand push away, the fingertips reach back. Curl your fingers. Squeeze knuckles towards your shoulders. Squeeze hard. Rotate arms in. Open up the hands. Again, the heel of the hand, press it away, and the fingertips pull back towards your head. Arms forward, arms down, and shake it out. All right, now let's get into shoulder blades. Okay. So I'll show from the side. We've done this before in previous handstand jam classes, never gets old. So rotate, circle the shoulders around, okay, and just allow for the lower arms, forearms, hands to move along, go for the ride. And then switch it up. Now pause. Now try not to move your hands forward or back. They'll move up and down. We want the shoulder to see if it can articulate a rotation, a circle, without hands moving forward and back. So curl your fingers, squeeze fists, create some tension, force through the arms, lift the shoulder blades up to the ears, elevation, drop the shoulder blades down, depression. Keep them depressed down and move your shoulder blades back, squeeze them in. Keep them in, lift them up, elevate. Stay elevated, protract forward, shoulders spread, dropping down, moving back, lifting up and forward and down and back. And notice if the hands tend to move forward or back, see if you can limit movement there and maximize movement in the shoulder blades. And switch direction, back, down, forward, up, back, down, forward, up. All right, so shoulder rotation, shoulder blades. Yeah. We'll do it again. Arms forward in front of you. This time I want you to check to see if your ribs tend to go in and out when you move with the shoulders. So I'm going to say move your ribs in. Draw your front waist back off your shirt a little bit. Move your bum a little forward. Press the thighs back. Straighten out through the legs so legs feel firm. Abdomen feels, well, I don't want to say engaged, but there's a bracing. Imagine something is coming at you, like a ball is being thrown at you. You got to catch it. You brace your abdomen. Think like that. Yeah. Arms forward, curl your fingers, and let's go for the shoulder movements. Up, forward, down, back. Up, forward, down, back, and switch direction. Keep your waistband, abdomen braced. Keep your feet pressing down, legs firm, legs straight. Squeeze those fists. Maybe lock your gaze where you're looking so the head is not moving, shoulders are moving. Take the arms a little wider. Rotate, articulate, shoulder blades, arms wider. The wider it gets, the weirder it gets, the harder it gets. Switch direction and release. So that was relatively medium pace tempo, I would say, and it could have been slowed down. So when you're practicing, again, on your own, whenever, try to do these rotations super slow, so that way each degree of movement is well articulated. When we move slow, we gain strength and stability, and then when we do tend to move fast, we can use it more in integration with the rest of the body. That's why I enhance practicing and encourage practicing these independent joint rotation moves. So then interdependent joint movements are well enhanced, okay? All right, now let's talk about the hand positions and we're gonna take it down to the ground, okay? So when you take the hands forward, turn the hands in. So internal rotation of arm bone, forearm and hands. Then out, external rotation. Then back, so complete rotation out. And then standard forward. Okay, so we have standard position, internal hands, hands out, and then reverse hand position. All right, let's take it down to the ground. So come down onto hands and knees position. Press the ground away. So I have my toes tucked under. I'm going to go for that. And then we'll also do tops of the feet down. Okay? So press the ground away. Make your arms feel very long. Push into the ground. Straighten the elbows. And have a little tuck in your tailbone. So try not to arch in your lower back, middle back. Okay? Then bring your chest towards the ground without arching in your mid back, low back. Squeeze the shoulder blades in. Push away. Move the shoulder heads away from the ears. Same circles we're doing. Shoulders up and away and down. Same circles, but with hands bearing weight, force on the ground. And let's be done with that for a moment. Bring yourself off the ground. So we're going to do this, go forward, back down. So bring yourself forward, land, fingertips, knuckles, palms, hands down. Go a little past the wrists, so shoulders beyond the wrists. So as long as there's no pain in the backs of the hands. And then go back, off, pushing off the ground, and then going forward. Any amount you can tolerate. Wrist extension, loaded on the ground, going forward. And come back, push off the ground, then back on the ground and turn the hands out. One thing I'll mention is that if your knees are sensitive, and that's where the blanket comes in. I meant add this earlier. I mentioned having the blanket. You can have knees for padding. Sometimes that can just feel nice for that pressure against the ground, especially if you're on cement here. Yeah? All right, now turn one hand back. Or let's do it like this. Turn your hands out. Let's take it like this. Turn your hands out first and make a circular motion, okay, with your whole body, hips, shoulders, head, circular motion, and then reverse the direction of the shoulder. So distributing weight on the wrist without moving the wrist, but moving the body above it. And release. Hands point forward, back of one hand on the ground. Okay. The further forward you go, shoulder over wrist or maybe beyond, it'll probably feel less of a stretch. And the further back you go, you can try it with me. Okay. The hand that's on the ground, palm down and pressing and moving back. So intensifying this wrist flexion stretch. No pain in the underside of the hand, okay? So if there's any pain, you back off away from it. Switch. So back of my right hand is down. The left palm is on the ground. I'm pressing and then moving my hips back, behind me, below, and then coming forward, and then coming back. All right, palms forward. Now do another wrist rotation while maintaining the fixed position of the wrist, but distributing the weight bearing, the load, in different positions. You could have the elbows bent at some point. Okay? If that's happening, conscious choice you're making, you could bend and then straighten. But right now, I'm going to encourage you to keep the elbows straight, forward, back, around, down, and then push off the ground. Sit over your heels. If that's too much, just come to a tall kneeling position. Take the arms forward, interlock your fingers, palms away from the face, and then stretch the arms up overhead. Arms forward slightly, move your waist back. Remember, the ball or something's coming at you. Brace your abdomen, draw the front waist back off your shirt, and then take the arms up. Lift the side waist, chest, side shoulder blades, outer shoulder blades up. Go forward. Switch the interlock of the fingers, palms away. Draw the waist in, raise the arms up overhead. And then release the hands, arms down. Okay. So the idea behind that, you can come to a tall kneeling position here. You can be on the tops of the feet if you like. I'm going to scoot a little forward. Press those shins down, and move your hips, buttocks forward. So this idea, take your arms forward and up, and notice if the hips go back and the ribs come forward. So whenever I make a correcting alignment cue or adjustment, keep in mind, if you're choosing to do this consciously for some reason, right? You have a reason and you're choosing to do it because you have the capacity to do it. That's different than the lower back, middle back doing the arm flexion for you. Okay, so that's why I'm trying to encourage you to become more aware of this because it'll come up in handstand. Take one hand across your waist and chest, raise the other arm up by the ear, palm can stay forward. Notice when the ribs go forward. Bring your arm forward, move those ribs back, move your buttocks in. Feel some engagement in the backs of the legs, hamstrings, buttocks. Then take that arm bone back, up and back, up and back, up and back, and then down. Switch. Okay? You can have the toes tucked if that feels okay. I'm having the tops of the feet down, pressing down, squeezing the bum. Legs engage, hand around waist and chest, and then taking the other arm up. Notice when the ribs come forward. Move the ribs down and move the ribs in. Take the arm up, take the arm back. Ribs down, ribs in. Arm up, arm back. Now, both arms. I'm going to turn to face you this way. Okay? And we'll go into handstand position. Arm goes up, heel of the hand pushes up, ribs in, ribs down, shoulders up, arms back. Look up towards your hands without lifting your ribs out. Let the ribs come in. Move your buttocks in. Then look down toward your chest. Draw those bottom ribs in. Move your buttocks forward. Arms forward and down. So it's good to do these positions to see if the prerequisites for the handstanding, okay, is well primed, right? So when I go like this, if I don't have a well, say, extension of hand position, like if my hand was like this, then to bring my shoulders over the wrists, right, could cause some pain or pressure where the elbow joint might take it or the shoulder joint. So getting a good wrist extension, really get that back of the forearm behind the hand turned on, activated. There's a stretch here and a pulling contraction here, other hand. So just check to see, do you have that prerequisite? Okay? And if you don't, that's okay. Like if your hand is like this, that's okay. You'll modify it in a different way. You can elevate the hand on a blanket like this, yeah? Or put a little slanting baseboard if you have that. Pull with the fingertips back, reach with the heel of the hand forward. Come forward, okay? Now do hands turned back position. Okay, so full rotation of arm and hand. Other hand is in regular position facing forward. Any amount you can tolerate. Moving hips back, buttocks back and down. Avoiding any pain in the back of the hand, stretches on the underside of the arm. Then go forward, go back. And see how it feels when you press your fingertips down, knuckles down. Come up, go back. Then switch, come forward, switch hands. So right now we're doing one hand at a time. In a moment we'll do both hands at the same time. Going back any amount it feels okay. And if you check to see, I do have a bit of, somewhat you can see a little double jointedness where my elbow can push forward. So I'm going to bend the arm. Okay? So it looks straight to you, feels bent to me, but I'm using more muscle here to straighten that arm as opposed to just pushing into the joint. Okay? So I'm bending the arm slightly and then moving back. So you can do that if you have a similar arm mobility or hypermobility thing like myself. Go forward and back. And look, I was doing that with one hand off the ground. You can try like that too. I was just trying to make it clear for the camera angle. Otherwise, the other hand can offload, putting the other hand down. Go forward, okay? And then maybe move back to this blanket or move the blanket forward. Now the back of the hands, both hands if you can, okay, pressing down. If you can tolerate moving back, move back and down. Otherwise, stay forward and slightly beyond the wrists. One more time. Whew, a lot of good wrist love today in our practice. And right now we've stayed on tabletop position. Let's do like this. Let's take downward dog. Turn your hands out. Okay, lift your knees and thighs up. Let's get into the legs a little bit. Lift the heels, lower the heels down. Lift the heels, lower the heels down. Bring the feet together. Okay, bend your right knee to your chest. Take the knee back. Take the knee out, up and back behind you. Then kick that top leg out straight. You can work to keep the chest square to the ground or facing the ground, or you can turn the chest, or you can do both, turning pelvis, waist, chest with that top leg and foot. Then bend that top leg, turn from the hip, turn from the waist, turn from the chest, look underneath your right arm, and straighten the leg, rotate, face the ground, foot down. Take a pause if you need, otherwise we're going to the other side. Bend the left knee thigh to chest. Kick the knee back behind you. Point the knee out. I'm letting the bottom leg heel lift up. Okay, different feeling. Okay. Then the heel down. You decide what feels good for you. And then top leg out straight. First, turn the waist chest towards the ground, then turn waist chest and hip away from the ground. And go back and forth, turning to face down, turning to lift up, face down, lift up, bend the knee, turn more from front of the thigh, pelvis, waist, and turn out, straighten the leg, foot down, bend the knees, and jump forward over the blanket if you're using it, top of the mat. Go over the legs, forward and down. Bend the knees, lower the hips down, turn the feet out, squatting position, any amount you can tolerate for knees, ankles, hips. Then as you straighten the legs, keep the legs turned out, bend the knees, lower down. This time as you straighten, lift the feet, point the toes forward, feet down, knees straight. Here's where the blocks come in. So you can use the blocks if that makes it more accessible, meaning you feel when you squat, it's hard on the knees or ankles or hips or any other place, yeah? So let's do a little bit more squatting. Turn the feet out, bend the knees, lower the hips, buttocks down, all the way down if you can, otherwise stay up as much as you need. Push into the blocks, hands into the ground, lift up, legs are turned out. Again, lowering down, and push with the feet, lift the hips up, point the toes forward now, lift the feet up, point the toes forward. Lift the heels up, let's squat like this. Take the blocks out to the side, lower hips, buttocks down. You can have fingertips on the ground if that works for you. Or no hands, okay? Straighten the legs, forward and down. Use the blocks as needed, lift the heels, lower down. Heels are lifted, heels drop down, lift the buttocks up, lift the heels, bend, and do a little balance. One arm up, other arm up by the ear. Now you may need to use the hands on the blocks to come up to standing upright position. Let's all just do it. Let's just do it together with the blocks. Push, keep the heels lifted. Hands to hips, keep the heels lifted. Lift the chest and head, keep the heels lifted. Heels down, resting. Now we're going to squat down with the heels up. Take your arms forward, lift the heels up, bend the knees, okay? Lowering the hips down, heels are lifted. Hips down, buttocks down, heels are lifted. And then going back up, using the ball mounds of the feet, pushing down, using your quads, your knees, pushing down with the feet, lift up, arms down, heels down, rest up. And be on the top side of your foot, just a little plantar flexion for the toes, ankle, a little stretch in the shin, and then switch. See, I said the handstand practice, full body practice, not just the hands, not just the wrists, arms, shoulders. I like to get into the spine, the hips, the legs, the knees, the shins, the ankles, the feet, the toes. Again, we'll do, okay, if you can take a little squatting position, applying more pressure on that foot, top of the foot side, and then switch. We're almost to our handstanding, okay? A lot of the handstand jam, we're jamming out in the component parts that get us into handstand. It's not just handstanding for 1 hour at the wall. It could be if you're into that. That's up to you. Yeah, but a lot of this I like to treat part technique clinic and part playful play. There's a playground for just getting into the joints, muscles, bones, and of course attitude, mentality for the practice. Yeah, just prepping up, gearing up, and then we'll go up. We'll do as many handstands as you're up into it, but a little bit more weight bearing and now adding variability of hands. So I'm going to start to use the blocks now. You can be on the ground, hands on the ground, or hands on the blocks. So from tabletop, now we're going to increase the load of the hands simply by lifting the knees up off the ground. Push the hands down. Try to move the hands back towards your knees and move your knees forward towards your hands. Tuck your tailbone. So there's that reflexive core engagement. Look forward. Look to any side, to the right side. Look down, look to the left side, circling the head and neck around. And circle the neck and head the other way. Left, down, right, forward. Go up and back to downward dog. From downward dog, upward dog on the blocks. Okay, you can keep your toes tucked under for this round. Shoulders, do a shoulder circle here. Shoulders up, back, down, and in. And then reverse. Shoulders go up, forward, push away to plank, back to downward dog. Go forward, come down. Now turn your hands out. You can do this on the ground if you like. I have it on the blocks. Arms are longer. Hands turned out, arms turned out. Straighten the knees, tabletop position. Tuck your chin, look towards your toes. Try to move your toes towards your hands. Move the hands back towards the feet. That's that isometric hold I was talking about earlier, that term where you initiate movement without actually moving. Press more with the hands, drag the hands toward the toes, pull the toes toward your face. Look forward, keep the toes pulling forward, hands moving back. Look to the side, right side. Tuck the chin. Look to the left side. Look forward. Switch. Head rotation. And come down. Whoo, come up. Hope you're feeling, well, everything. Hands, shoulders, arms, but hope you felt something engage here. So isometric, just to clarify, if you take your hand to the wall, okay, it's just resting there. But if you push into the wall and try to drag your hand down or try to push it up without actually moving the hand up and down, but initiating that pressure, that load in a direction, either down, it could be forward, it could be back, but that pressure of, you can think of it, yeah, just trying to scrub the paint on the wall in any way, but holding that is the isometric pressure or tension. You can think of it this way. All right, let's do it on our forearms. So you can come off the blocks or you can use the blocks. Right? I'm folding up some padding so my forearms are on the blocks, or you can come off the blocks. Forearms down, you can interlock fingers, arms out, palms down, whatever works for you. Press the forearms down, take the legs back, straighten the legs out. Now press those forearms down and pull the forearms back towards your toes and move the toes forward towards your elbows. Tuck your tailbone, look to your feet. Keep those toes pulling forward, elbows moving back, look forward, chin away from chest. Look to the side, anywhere, doesn't matter which way. Circle the neck and head around, and then switch direction of neck and head circle. And now bend the knees, knees down, and forearm dog pose or dolphin pose. Straighten the legs. So a little pressure in the palms, forearms, elbows down. Lift the heels, lift your hips, and move your chest back. The knees down, straighten the arms. Now, back on the blocks, okay, turn your hands in. Okay? Or actually turn the hands out. Let's do this one more time. So hands turned out, move back to dog pose. Then from downward dog, upward dog with the hands turned out. Be on the tops of the feet as an option for upward dog. Shoulders move up, then upper arm bones move back. Shoulder blades move down and in. Lift your chest, arch your upper back. And tuck the toes under, push away, back to downward dog. All right, now the next one is the hands turned in. Now this may not feel good because we don't do it a lot and it's a funky position for the arms, so you don't have to completely turn the hands in. They can be just slightly internally rotated. If you can point the middle fingers towards each other, go for it and bring the hands a little closer in. You can do tabletop position, just hold this. You can circle around, switch wrist circles with the hands fixed on the floor. You can do it in plank. And eventually we're going to go to dog pose, but I'm just giving some options that if it's too much in dog pose, you can just hold plank, hold firmly. Otherwise, lift the hips up and back, going into downward dog. Go forward, lower down, come out. Wrist rotations, interlock the fingers, circle around. Switch rotation. Just a little gentle love for the hands, the wrists. So we've done hands turned out. We turn hands forward, hands in. Now hands turning back. Okay? So again, they don't have to do a 180 rotation from forward, but if you can, go for it. You can also do it on the blocks, makes it a little bit easier. Okay? Then hands on the ground, and then do a little wrist rotation circle, and then switch direction. Then try it with the knees off the ground. So again, avoiding any pain in the backs of the hands behind the wrist. If it is, then don't turn the hands out so much all the way back. Okay, so avoid any painful sensation. Listen to your body. Lift the knees off the ground. Press the hands down. Straighten your arms. Straighten your legs. Go forward. That should feel easier. Go back as if towards downward dog. Then go forward. Then go back as far back as it feels okay. Up and away. If it's too much on the blocks, lower down. In dog pose, I was feeling a little intense in the backs of the hands, wrists. So I'm putting the hands on the ground and lifting the hips up and back. Also feels intense on the ground. So maybe stick with the blocks, yeah? Any amount you can create that downward dog feeling. Then plank, do a chaturanga push-up. Bend the elbows back, straighten the arms, upward dog position. I don't know about you, but I find the push-up and upward dog, it's a little intense on the wrist, yes, I will say that, but easier to hold a little longer, especially upward dog. Lower down, come off, shake out. Okay. Take one hand forward, gentle pressure, the hand in with the support of the other hand. Gentle pressure, not too intense. So we've played with different hand positions. There's more. We haven't done fists yet. We haven't done fingertips. You could do both. So you could try fingertips, downward dog, fingertip plank, knees down, knees up. Okay. Fingertip, upward dog. You can do fist stand. So fist. You could just do the shoulder movements. I'm just exploring and encouraging you to try different hand positions. And in terms of variability, so far, all the hand positions have been symmetrical, meaning in the same position. We didn't try one hand forward, one hand out. Let's do it. So from tabletop, I have my left hand out, right hand forward, lift the knees and thighs, move back to downward dog. Then going forward, okay? Upward dog. So it's very funky in this way because we're not used to it. Yeah, we never put the hands in different positions like this. Let's do it again. Left hand forward, right hand out. So just going quickly through it. If you want to ever pause the video, explore more, feel free. For the sake of time, just exploring quickly, touch and go. Forward plank, upward dog, out. And there's so many more. There's so much more in terms of hand positions. Yeah, one hand can be turned in, one hand can be turned out. How funky is that? One hand forward, one hand back. Super funky. Yeah. But the point of the funkiness, not just for shape and aesthetic, but more for exposing novel load. Like if you did it all the time like that, it wouldn't be novel, right? The reason it's novel is because we don't do it that way. It's a new force load, and we've trained or exposed the nervous system enough through our start of practice, through all the work we did, that it feels safe, it feels comfortable, and hopefully enjoys experimenting in this novelty of hand positions. All right. So I'm trying to think before we go up to the wall. We've done all the hand positions. Great. Okay. Let's come on up and take our first handstand at the wall. All right. So if you want to bring your mat close to the wall, go for it. Yeah. I'm just going to keep mine out. And that's partly my own preference and just practice that I have gotten used to putting my hands on different surfaces that's not just the mat. Okay. So sometimes it's grass. Sometimes it's wood floor. Sometimes it's cement because I've exposed my body gradually, my hands gradually to tolerate that, tolerate it, appreciate it, and love it. All right. So otherwise, mat to the wall, face the wall, and go on up. All right. So I'm going to turn away. Hands come down. Any handstand that you prefer, just go for it. And then we'll do different kinds
When you're up, straighten through the arms, straighten through the legs. You can take the legs wide, push with the heel of the hand down, push with the fingers down, straighten through the elbows, and lift your chest. And legs together. Come on down, take a rest. So, if you're not going up for whatever reason, you have a good reason, any reason, okay? It doesn't even have to be good, just some reason, then you can work on any regression on the ground. Right? You're just holding plank, you're holding dog pose, do plank. We've done this in previous classes where you're weight bearing, okay, in one hand. Okay? You could just do these shoulder circles. You could try knees off the ground. That takes you to a whole other world. So you could play with a regression, okay, and then do that in plank. Okay, you can do one arm dog pose, one arm plank, move back and forth. So you have something you're exposing, tolerability of load. Then try it in for the wrist. Then try it in different hand positions. Otherwise, round two, handstand. Go on up. I'm going to encourage you, if you want now, try a different hand position. Hands turned out, a little bit out or completely out. So I'm turning my hands out, hands a little closer in, bending one leg, hop and kick with the other. So arms are externally rotated, pushing the hands down, turning the arms out, lifting the chest up. And just notice what's happening with the ribs. If you have a moment to observe, is your buttocks falling back to the wall? Move the buttocks, hips off the wall. Move your waist back, ribs back. Lift your shoulders up. Bring one leg down, bring the other leg down. Take a rest either in a forward fold or come on up, wrist rolls or hand flexion with the support of the other hand. Gentle here, so you're not snap the hand or wrist in any means, but just a gentle pressure to relieve that extension position into flexion. All right, so we could repeat again, hands turned out. You could experiment one hand forward, one hand out. If you're ready to turn the hand in, okay, so we did that in plank and in dog pose. So hands turned in, go for it. So hands turned in. They don't have to be completely turned in. My middle fingers are pointing towards each other, but yours could be a little bit turned in. All good. Make sure it feels okay in dog and in plank. Bend one leg, hop, kick, up with the other leg. Okay, and this is a funky one. Okay, so if there's any pain, you come down. Otherwise, push with the hands, arms straight, lift the chest, straighten the legs. You can take the legs wide. Woo, legs together, and coming down, resting. I'm shaking off my hands, the dust off the hands. Yeah. So it's all good if there's a sense of, well, fear factor is normal. Yeah? And that's a normal part, psychological sort of experience. You get used to it and you get more accustomed to it in a way where it's inviting and it's playful, that unknown fear factor of, well, falling, really. Yeah. So there'll be another class I'll do where we'll practice on handstand, not balancing, but how to fall out of handstand. We've done some similar stuff in previous classes before, but we can make it playful ways to learn cartwheeling out of the handstand. But right now we're doing different hand positions for handstand. Now it makes me think of another handstand position we didn't do on the ground. It's okay, you could try interlocked fingers. We won't do that in handstand, not for this class, but interlock position plank, interlock position downward dog on the ground. You could try that. Or now the funky one. All right, so this one was funky, hands turned out. This one's quite funky, meaning this is novel on a new level, such a new level that we never do it like this, yeah? Or maybe you do. So if you're used to it, it won't seem as novel, yeah? So be mindful with this one, okay? You can just hold plank, hold dog pose, otherwise with the hands, and mine are not going to be complete, they could be completely turned out, but I'm going to allow for a little give, so they're kind of turned out, not all the way externally rotated. Not 180 degrees, maybe 160 or 70 degrees. Okay. Then bend, hop, and kick. And pushing with the hands down, straightening with the arms, lifting with the chest. Straightening with the legs. Hips, buttocks, tailbone off the wall. Ribs in. Look up if you can. Look down. You kind of get used to it after a little duration in the hole. Yeah. And then coming down, one leg down, other leg down, shake out the hands. Again, that passive wrist flexion. So we've exposed ourselves, experienced in different hand positions. Next one, handstand, your choice. Any which way. It could be your default go-to, hands, fingers pointing forward. It could be hands slightly in, hands out, hands back, or something else that I haven't shared. And you could add load on the blocks. So same hand positions. Yeah. Now, when you turn the hands out, the fingertips will not touch because the blocks, at least for me, my hand position to the blocks, fingers are off the block. But you decide. Okay. I'm just going to make it interesting with the blocks. It's a whole other world when you gain height. And look, my heels fit perfectly in this top wood bar here. So I can hold the pose a little longer. Pressing my heels up like I would press my heels down into the ground. Push your hands, straighten your arms, move those ribs in, waist back, buttocks in, lift your chest. And then coming down. Woo! Boost, mood enhancer, mood booster for sure, yeah? Woo! Take a big breath in, big breath out. So if you need to take a rest, watch, pause, all good, breathe. Do some wrist rotations. This can be very good to articulate through the wrist, hands. Okay. Switch direction. That's a lot of loading we've done so far on the hands, on the wrist. Okay. A lot of force load on the bones of the hands, wrist, forearms, elbows, shoulders, the whole works. Yeah. So you can do wrist rotations. If you're ready, on the blocks, hands turned out. Go for it. Keep in mind the regression would be anything off the wall, plank pose, downward dog, upward dog. You can explore, continue to add that load. And one thing I didn't add was before that you could do some of it one-legged. So one-legged plank, one-legged upward dog. So that's another element of exposing the load on their hands and wrists by detaching the base, one leg off. Otherwise, on the blocks, now the hands are turned out. I'm going to grip the block. I'm going to grip it like this because I'm actually holding my fingers around it. You could have the fingers out, but I'm going to just choose to hold the block, hands turned out. And bend one leg. I'm also switching which leg I'm kicking up with now, so it's not my default leg. And I just happen to be lucky in the space where my feet fit on this crossbar or the roof bar here, the shade structure roof. Longer hold. Stay even longer. Just because that assist of that heel hooked on that cross bar for me, I can push in, control the balance a little longer. Coming down. So one thing about handstanding practice, at least in my experience, is that the more I do, the first couple handstands seem like in the beginning and end is going to be that exertion and exhaustion, but that middle of the practice, it starts to feel really sweet, like more, more, more. In the beginning, the first ones, it's tough. You're just getting into it. First time loading the hands. So first couple you throw out like pancakes. The first couple you toss out, yeah? And then you could max out till the end, but I know there'll be a time my body will just tell me enough is enough. Yeah? But that middle ground between start and finish, there's a desire, there's a wish to do more handstands. So if you're with me, staying with it, go for it. Another one, any which way you want to do. Now in this class, we haven't done, I don't know, in the past classes, and also in, some of the positions on the ground, it occurred to me now, even though I planned for it, not everything gets sequenced out from mind to mat. But you could do one hand on. So in terms of variability and not being symmetrical with hand position, one hand on a block, other hand off. So how does that feel? Downward dog, plank, upward dog. So it's not so much about just doing it because it's, cool or different, but adding an element of cool and different and exposure of load and force on the hands. And again, you could go, it's infinite. One hand turned out, one hand in, one hand on block, one hand off the block. So you can make it interesting, fun, playful, and just enjoy this novelty. And call it weird if you want. It is weird. Like one hand's on, one hand's off. Why are we doing it? We do it because have a childlike curiosity of wonder and weirdness. Why not? Yeah. So again, point being though, if you want to make it logical sense, is that we're exposing different amount of load on hands, wrist, up into the arms, shoulders, loading, learning how to load, bear weight with a different variability of hand positions. So we're not just always in one. There's always a default, a bias that we gravitate towards. Most of my handstands that I'll be doing, yeah, my hands are going to be facing forward, especially in the middle of the room, handstand balancing. But that doesn't mean when I'm playing around with it, the wall or any other support, I'm limited to trying different hand positions. Okay, can you do like this? It's almost bye-bye time. We're almost done. Okay, about 5 more minutes left. So any more handstands you want to do? If you want to practice in the middle and you want to kick up and practice your handstand balance, you can go for it. Yeah, up to you. Okay, if you want to do it at the wall, go to the wall and hold the pose a little bit longer. Okay? I leave that up to you. Okay, so one more or two or three more handstands. We did hands forward, hands out, hands in, hands back. Okay? We did not do interlock fingers. Super funky one. Okay, arm rotated in and closer in. A little different than this, even more so. Yeah. So you can play with another one. You could play with one hand on block, one hand off, for the sake of trying it. Yeah. So this one is super funky. Yeah. And it feels like there's a little bit of a twist, a little bit of a turn. Okay, so only attempt it if you feel well and good doing it. Right? Coming down, I'm switching up, okay? And you don't have to do it. Yeah? You don't have to do it at all. You can use two blocks. So that one is, I would say, not for beginners by any means. Even maybe not for some. I consider myself intermediate level. Okay, so if you feel intermediate, to try that. If you feel it's too advanced, then you don't do it. Yeah? And each hand arm might be different. That definitely felt different. And look how much I'm leaning to the side, yeah? On this side. There we go. But that whole experience right there, feeling that asymmetry, adjusting it, the smile that was brought on my face, that sense of adventure into unknown land, that was fun for me. Yeah. So I'm sharing that not so you do it that way, but you make it fun for yourself in a sense of curiosity, a sense of wander, and not all who wander are lost. You heard that one before, right? So in a way, wandering, but without feeling lost, but feeling adventurous. Interesting. Where am I? What am I doing here? How did I get here? All right, so that's our handstanding practice for today. Let's take care of the wrists. Let's wind down and rest, okay? So, hand rotations, okay? The hands in, down, out, up, in, down, out, up, switch. Hands out, down, in, up, down, in, up. Then our hand on foot position. So you can use a blanket for some padding. Bend the knees, squat down, lower down, lift one foot up, stick the back of the hand, Sole of the foot, palm of the hand, lift up, sole of the foot, palm of the hand. Straighten the legs out, arms out if you can. If you keep them bent, all good. Chest and head down. Then bend the knees and straighten the legs. Bend the knees and straighten the legs. Then release. Now, if you're okay with it, hands turned out, meaning if this feels okay, the back of the hand against the sole of the foot now. You can just do one hand at a time, one leg hand, because it's a little tricky for, if you want to play with the balance, go for it, both hands. Yeah, just be careful not to tip forward. Otherwise, it's just for wrist relief here. You can lift the heel, bend the knee, just apply a little more pressure with the ball mount of the foot, the toes, into the back of the hand, and heel down, heel up, and then switch to the back of the hand against the sole of the foot. Bend the knee, lift the heel, straighten the leg, drop the heel, lift, or down. And then bend the knees, lowering down, squatting down. And then bring yourself all the way down on the ground. Any resting position that works for you. Okay? So I've shown this before where I fold the blanket and fold it again. So it's this squarish little pad. Okay? That's just my go-to sometimes to rest in a bridge position. You could use blocks if you wanted. And before we do the bridge, just lie down, have that support if you're going to use it. With the knees bent, just let yourself move the hips, legs side to side. Just kind of windshield wipering the legs side to side. And the legs, next time the legs fall to one side, so I'm going to let them fall to the right side, move anything out of the way there. So legs fall to the right. Take my arms overhead and hold my left wrist, and just a gentle tug of the arm away from the chest. Left thigh away from the waist, a little twist here, breathe here. And then release over to the other side. Legs fall to the left, arm goes overhead, holding my right wrist. Moving away from the chest with the arm, moving away from the waist with the leg. Come back. Anything else you want to do? If you want to do a different kind of a twist to take care of the back a little bit, you can do a knee bent twist side to side, supine position, lying back, knees bent. And you can do anything else that feels good. Otherwise, time to rest with me using this blanket support, folded up on the buttocks sacrum. Knees can come in towards each other or knees apart. Just rest here. Just have a moment of surrender, letting go from the practice. Just like we got the nervous system exposed, excited, stimulated for the practice, now to down-regulate, reset, and rest. A soft, slow breath in through the nose. Smooth, long breath out. And if you'd like to straighten out one leg, let the other bent leg fall to the side. You can do that. And switch, bend that leg, straighten out the other leg. Come back. Lift the hips, buttocks up, move the blanket support out of the way, buttocks down. Let the knees, thighs move in towards each other. Knees and thighs out, cross your legs, shins, ankles, just cross, rest here. Interlock your fingers on your abdomen, just connect with yourself as you let go from the effort of the practice. Switch the cross of the legs, switch the interlock of the fingers. A little release for the hips and pelvis. Take a soft, slow inhalation through your nose. Fill up your lungs. Smooth, long exhalation out. Release the hands, straighten the legs and arms out, away from each other like a yawning stretch. Stretch long through the limbs of the body. Spread your toes, spread your fingers. Then bend the knees, thighs into the chest. Hug yourself in. Roll to one side. Push off the ground. Come on up. And that's our handstand jam practice for the day. Thank you for joining. Had fun with you. Hope you had fun with me. Any questions, comments, curiosities about the practice, feel free to leave a comment on the YouTube channel video right here. And if you're watching my video for the first time, welcome to my YouTube channel. Feel free to subscribe for more videos and practice videos coming up. All right. And thank you for the support as always. Okay. You can also message me through my website, zane.yoga, zane.yoga, yoga. All right, so any questions, comments, curiosities, always open to feedback and any requests for future practices. Be well, take good care, and have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye-bye.